Hello, I'm so happy I got a hold of you. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Lucious Showcase. I am Lucious T, and welcome to week 1 of Ninja Month. All ninjas, all the time, no waiting. And this week we're taking a look at a fairly recent game that came out just a few months ago, and you already know what it is a title, so let's not waste any more time, let's check it out. I was sold on the Messenger within moments of seeing the sizzle reel for it during the various different Nintendo Directs. Switching between 8-bit and 16-bit graphics seemed like an amazing idea, and the gameplay looked like a modern take on the Ninja Gaiden formula. So I purposely kept myself in the dark on this game. And when I finished playing Octopath back in August, I looked up the release date for this, and lo and behold, the game was coming out 2 days later. So I of course bought it and crushed it. Yes, that's right. I played this game months ago, but could only fit it into the release schedule of videos now. Really capitalizing on that launch hype, aren't you? So let's dive in.
There's a lot of games out there, some of which you've never even heard of. That's where I come in. I'm Lucious T. I've been playing games since the age of 2, and I have no life. This is Retroactive.
The Messenger is a tale of two games. It starts off as a Ninja Gaiden clone, and then around halfway, it opens up into a metroidvania. Both parts are equally amazing. In the first half, you work your way through several stages, each more interesting than the last, and gain new abilities and upgrades as you do it. Some, like the climbing claws and wingsuit, are given to you, while others you must use time shards to purchase. All the while, the shopkeeper provides endless comic relief and entertainment as he takes all your time shards. Now, time shards are the currency of the game, and can be found in giant clusters, off enemies, or just strewn about like coins. Now, one of the very interesting mechanics of the game is how it handles death. There are no lives or continues. Instead, you are rescued from death by a little devil thing who restores you to your last save point before the death. Luckily, you keep any progress you made as far as collectibles and time shards go. However, he does charge you a fee, and will commandeer all time shards earned going forward until he is paid off. It sounds worse than it is. In reality, the debt is only about 15 or so shards and doesn't stack if you die before paying it off. Losing future shards instead of ones you already collected is a great idea and one of my favorite innovations of the game. He's also a real smartass. Now, the world is stuck in a loop. Every 500 years, calamity strikes, and it is up to a chosen messenger to work his way all the way up to the top of the mountain and put an end to the calamity. This is where your character enters. You start in the 8-bit world aesthetic, music and all. One decidedly un-8-bit mechanic this game has is the parry jump, meaning every time you attack an object, you can then jump again mid-air, allowing you to chain jump over hazardous terrain. Now, you can eventually upgrade it to work on enemy projectiles as well. It's very similar to the Ori and the Blind Forest deflect mechanic. Let me just say that this style of mechanic is my favorite 2D platformer innovation of the last 30 years. The freedom of movement and level design it affords games is unparalleled, and this game takes that movement to a new level, and is a real highlight of the game. And this is the first technique the game teaches you 20 seconds in. Now, each of the opening stages are a linear left-to-right experience with a boss fight at the end, with a few exceptions. You will find checkpoints throughout the stages and a few hidden seals that can open up a treasure chest, but other than that, it's a straightforward action game. The shopkeeper is tied to the save points, and he is probably my favorite part of the whole game. He's witty as hell and will give fourth wall breaking commentary, such as referencing the climbing tools were made by John Gaiden. He also tells stories that sometimes are amazingly deep and sometimes just completely absurd. If you imagine him talking as a certain person on this channel, he's even more entertaining.
Do you have any stories?
Of course, here's one for you. It's a story I once told a guy who hooked me up with the music for my shop. There was once a village struggling to figure out who the werewolf was. People kept dying every full moon, and very gorily at that. One day, a brave young couple decided to venture to the woods. He would be the hunter and she the bait. As one would expect from such a cliched setting, they got separated and our hunter faced off alone against the beast near a cliff.
After 15 minutes of a literal uphill battle, the hunter managed to chop off the werewolf's paw with his axe. The hunter then ran for his life, severed paw still clutched to his throat. By the time he got home, the sun was up, and he found his fiancée bleeding, also badly wounded. The paw in his throat had reverted to its human form, and that moment he noticed it was wearing a ring he had purchased a few days ago. The end. Whoa, that was spooky. I'm still looking for a title. Any suggestions? What about The Werewolf Bride? Wow, great idea. Really? No, not really. You put the reveal in the title.
He periodically gives you upgrades once you get to a level that needs it, like the rope dart. And you can buy upgrades from him, like being able to jump after you get hit. Now this game also has that classic NES knockback, so having an ability to jump after getting damaged will help avoid those pesky pits of death. Now boss fights are all incredibly fun and offer unique combat that never repeats itself. The first half of the game blows by incredibly quickly, and to some will likely outshine the back half of the game. Minor spoilers coming, and I mean minor, because if you've seen the trailer, you already know a twist has to come to get to the 16-bit era. Hell, the game itself even mentions this. Now once you get to the top of the mountain, you learn that being the messenger is just another part of the loop. You travel through time 500 years and hand off the scroll to the new messenger, and then become the shopkeeper yourself, dropping your own hilarious Metroid joke as well. However, something goes wrong, and now it's up to you to fight through 2 cycles simultaneously. Enter Metroidvania.
Things are probably going to get cryptic from now on with all this profit business, so you'll probably want to make extensive use of your map. My map? Your map, yes. I don't have a map. Are you kidding me? I'm telling you, I don't have a map. Okay, let me get this straight. We gave you a scroll. The fate of this whole world seems to hinge on it. We gave you a hero title relating to it. You carried it for days across countless perilous situations, even through time itself, and you never even bothered reading it? You're an animal.
The shopkeeper tells you that the scroll was a map, and suddenly all the levels you played through now have a map and sections that you can access with the abilities you learned in the later levels. Now, a new plot twist opens up with a potential solution to breaking the time loop. This involves locating music notes hidden throughout the world in previously unreachable new areas. Luckily, the shopkeeper gets new upgrades too, one of which allows you to locate all the green power seals. You will also notice starry stuff on the map. This lets you know that a time rift is present in that area, and you can travel backwards and forwards in time, aka from 8-bit to 16-bit aesthetic. Now the music changes too. Although I'd say it's more Genesis influence than SNES influence, so I prefer the 8-bit music. Now your character gets a cool hat too, which the shopkeeper hilariously copies at one point as well.
Oh, you like that? Is that why you chose to wear one as well? What? Well, you have the same hat. No, I got it first. Oh, is that what you're going to tell yourself? Fine. I did have that first and we're all over it. Right. Yeah, that all happened, sure. It's true, though. Look, you can put your head in the sand all you want in an attempt to preserve your ego, but it's not going to work on the person that was there when it all happened.
Now, while I enjoyed the first half of the game more, the exploration is remarkably contained, but still big enough to allow discovery in the back half. I managed to find everything by just playing, including 4 extra levels and the final music box level. Attention to detail is key. Every level works in both of its aesthetics and is a real treat to behold at times. Even the quests themselves are comical. You need the power of true sight, so you grow a 500-year-old tea for your master, only for him to hand you a candle. The guy just wanted the tea! Now, the Fallen Kingdom stage requires you to rescue 3 gnome creatures, but finding each one is not stressful if you're diligent in searching. And this is coming from a guy that hates that aspect of Metroidvania. But these levels are really quite small and have several hints layered into the map once you buy the upgrades. Now, I will admit that I may have gotten incredibly lucky. I stumbled upon a lot of the quest pieces en route to going for all the green power seals. And I made note when I ran into something that would need revisiting. The gnome dude is blocked by lava. Noted. Come back when I can freeze that or otherwise pass over it. I'm stuck in a weird underwater maze. Noted. Come back when I have some clue to go through it. I couldn't see in the all-black corridor. Noted. Oh, there's an ability called True Sight. Once I find that, I'm sure I can go through there. Oh, it's just a candle. Hilarious. The game does not leave you hanging and is not cryptic at all. Hell, you can pay the shopkeeper to give you a hint and tell you what to do. Now, my advice to people is make sure to re-explore every level in the 16-bit aesthetic and work it out so that you can get all the way through the area in 16-bit land. It's hard to miss out on stuff that way. You will also notice areas that have 3 lines that look unusual. Those areas open up in the other aesthetic. You also gain more abilities late game you hadn't anticipated, like water walking. I wonder if that will let me run over lava. Yup. There is even an awesome dragon assault that plays out as a horizontal shooter. This game has everything. Now, one complaint I do have with this game is it drops a huge load of exposition on you in the 11th hour. But I'll leave the why out to avoid more spoilers. Now, I did run into a few bugs here and there as well. I got myself trapped a few times in the butterfly land, and I noticed that if I let the game run on my Switch for too long, it'll start to lag, so I had to reset the game at one point to clear this. But those are minor complaints. This might just be the best indie game I've ever played. They nailed it. Okay, I've been playing Dead Cells lately, that might be better, but this one's pretty good. Time for some Lucious metrics. Game design, next level. The scope of having an action game turn into a metroidvania and then open up with extra additional layers and levels is incredible. Meld that with phenomenal writing and a good sense of humor, and you have something truly special. It even has moments of the profound and gratitude, with a very sincere thank you from the developer towards the end of the game to the people who believed in it. And opening the damn cabinet was handled remarkably well too. I just can't praise this game enough. Playability, retro fresh. It handles just like a retro game should, and then it introduces modern mechanics like the deflect thing I love so much. Making death a penalty to your character progression instead of a character regression was an inspired choice too. I much prefer losing potential gains instead of current gains, like the Dark Souls method. There is never any where do I go BS either. If you go through the stage a second time in the 16-bit era, you will usually discover something that will allow you to progress to something new. Cost of entry. Buy it. Other than there being no physical release, there is no downside here. This game provides way more than $20 worth of value. I got 15 hours out of it, and that is twice as much time as I've gotten from some $60 games. We need to show support for a game such as this so that companies know that these type of games will sell. I would have paid twice as much for this game, and likely will if a physical release ever comes out. Storytelling. Tongue-in-cheek. This is some of my favorite writing for an indie game in a long time. It doesn't use its fourth wall breaking as a crutch like Yooka-Laylee did, and it doesn't poke fun at it either. It just nicely breathes through the characters it sets up. While the weakest part may be that 11th hour revelation I mentioned, just because it shows up so late and comes out of left field, never once did I tire in this world and would love to see more of it. The Messenger is one of those games I see from time to time that I just know is going to be good. Now, ego patting aside, I'm so happy to see this game explode the way it did, because it deserves all of it. And to that little boy in the well, thank you for sharing your stories with all of us. Taking all that into account from the perspective of a binge-playing game finisher, I give this my Lucious T recommendation of Beat It. And there you have it. That's it for this week, guys. Thank you for joining me. What a phenomenal game The Messenger was. I was just so pleased playing this. It's already probably one of my favorite games of the year, and well worth $20, even if you don't like the back half of the game. The first half is such a solid action game that really, you could just beat that and call it a day and still have $20 worth of enjoyment. So yeah, check this game out. Now, as a tease to next week, it's going to be a little bit more of a kickback experience. So yeah, figure that one out. So, that's it for this week, guys. As a reminder, I release a new video every Tuesday. Please make sure to subscribe to the channel, click that notification bell so you can see these videos. And once again, it's been so nice getting a hold of you. Take care.
Do you have any stories to share? Of course, here's one for you. There was once a messenger who kept asking for stories. Even though he was supposed to move on with his very important quest, he just couldn't get enough. The shopkeeper, living in a void outside of time, was connected to all eras, and so at first was happy to share the myths and legends encountered over decades of traveling. Alas, the messenger never seemed to appreciate the morals or takeaways, so the shopkeeper decided to be done with the stories thing. The end. No way, I liked your stories. Come on. Maybe later. We'll see.